Hey guys, so I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. Uh, as opposed to more of like kind of a clean cut edit, thing that we do on Facebook and stuff, I thought maybe we'd do some YouTube videos and peel back the layers of the onion a little bit and show you kind of my thought process as we go into this storm for the weekend. So if you don't know, Wisconsin, we're expecting a snow event here on Saturday, mainly southern Wisconsin along the Wisconsin-Illinois border. There's the challenge is it's the melting. Because if this were in mid-January with the sun angle, and all that stuff going on where it's favorable for snow, you might have a different impact. But today, I think right now, outside it's probably 60 degrees or something like that right now. The ground is just torched in terms of temperature relative to the snow, and it's so. How is that going to all work out? I don't even really know, but you have to account for it somehow. But let me just kind of go through my thought process as, and I don't look at things probably from a traditional standpoint. Like I'm self-taught in all this. So the value to you is that you can do it whatever way you want, and I'm going to prove it to you that you don't have to follow the textbook to, make an accurate forecast and have people watch you and find value in that. You don't have to be a degreed meteorologist. You don't have to have some sort of seal of approval. You get the approval from the people who then give approval, they give it back to you as saying, hey, you help me out. And also it helps you see, when you're self-taught as a meteorologist, it helps you see a different perspective and a different angle. And that's more valuable than just following everybody else's crazy, or not crazy, maybe it's just this sort of like groupthink, mainstream mentality. Trying to get away from that, right? Because if you're an aspiring meteorologist, this is probably something really good for you to watch. So I'm on weather.cod.edu, and this is the NAM forecast. And I thought the NAM was doing all right. There's no model that's really doing bad with this event for Saturday. They're just all a little bit different, and I wanted to take something that was a little bit more middle of the road. But for the purposes of this video update, I don't think it's really necessary that it be perfect. And where I typically start is I like to look at the precipitation, right? Because this is the end result. If you're getting all hung up on forcing and all that stuff, you're kind of missing the whole, the whole result of what people are going to see on their doorstep. You kind of want to, I don't know, I feel like I like to start with that, and then I work, upwards or outwards. And so I'm looking at this thinking, okay, well, for late April, and typically these systems that come out of the west-northwest, they're not moisture abundant, in January and February. In April, I would say that it's probably a wash because you do have a little bit extra moisture, which models are probably going to underdo. But then you have the added effect of melting from the temperatures, right? So let's go into temperature. First, so you have the reflectivity, a pretty good snow swath here working across southern Wisconsin there on Saturday. That's during peak heating, and then it moves off. And then by midnight for sure, probably closer to 9 p.m., you're done totally with the snow. So from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., that's the bulk of the event. So it has to be snowing heavy, which is kind of supportive of actual snow accumulation. So that's just the reflectivity, right? So this is the visual. If you're a visual person like me, this is kind of what you need to get started. Now let's go into temperatures, because this is what I thought was interesting. And literally, I'm just kind of going through it how I would normally go through it. There's no special science to this. It's sort of like, oh, that's interesting. Let's go investigate. So, let's start right now, right? So it's pretty close to 60 degrees. There's a really strong westerly wind over Wisconsin. And I know because I had to drive to take the car to get an oil change this morning, and you definitely felt it. As we go into Saturday morning, and then as we go into Saturday afternoon there. So this is all happening probably because of evaporative cooling. So as it snows at aloft, it's colder aloft. The other thing I noticed with this system, I'm not going to show it, but it's actually part of it is the departing system that's going through probably, I don't know if it's today or Thursday if it was, southeast of Wisconsin that's pulling cold air south. So as it pulls it south, this storm's running into it and then pulling it around, in that cold air conveyor aspect of it. So that's cooling things down extra more. Typically this might be a rainstorm. That's probably what's causing the snow on this one. but you're getting that evaporative cooling, right? So, but prior to that, it's 50s. At night, it's almost like 50, 40, 50. So that's not real good for snow. If you want snow, typically you want to see that timing to be overnight, because you don't have to battle with the sun angle. Anyways, I digress. But that's the things I typically think about. So midday, this would probably be 1 p.m. on Saturday. Pretty chilly there. Relatively strong northeasterly wind. I don't think it's anything unusual, and certainly something we've seen this before this winter, so you're not going to be surprised by it. But yeah, I mean, then the temperatures dip there into the low 30s, so below freezing, which is probably going to have to get to do any sort of serious accumulating. But yeah, and then as it departs, you're seeing the cold air remaining there across some of Wisconsin. This is Saturday night into Sunday morning. Yep, so your snow fell and your temperatures are kind of responding to that. This is crazy to me. I'd be surprised to see that. I mean, but then again, it is, as that low pressure moves off and the surface high is there, sometimes you see the temperatures bottom out in that situation. I just would expect there to be some clouds. Okay. The next thing I like to go into is snow accumulation, because really that's what it's all about. That's what the end result is. People forget, if you're a meteorologist, that's awesome. But you got to find a way to share your talents and skills with the world and communicate in a way that people understand. And, I once heard you got to talk to, people like you're talking to your grandmother. No. I mean, that helps. It's a good thought process to go towards, but you can't treat people like they're dumb. You got to treat people as if they know as much as you do and challenge them to get to your level. I'm not really talking about things like, vorticity, and because it's really not practical, but you got to find that sweet spot. Anyways, I digress. I just go into this stuff because I think about it often, like how do we, with Wisconsin weather, if you're not familiar with us, or with me, my name is Justin Publon, if I hadn't mentioned it, WisconsinWX.com. That's our website. At this very moment, it's down, but it's an awesome, great resource, and that's where we do all of our forecasting out of. And I come at it because we're independent and alternative, we have the luxury and the benefit of being independent and approaching things with we'll go into that another time. I'd love to talk about that. Saturday, so snow accumulation. The way this model does not this model, but this website does the accumulation, it's a little bit different than Pivotal Weather, which I prefer to use. It's a little bit higher resolution. And it shows like 12 inches almost. 10, 9s, 10s. They're across the southern 2 tiers of Wisconsin counties. I mean, wow. This time of year, that's not real normal. That's not I can't remember this ever in southern Wisconsin being that much snow on the forecast. And we'll see what happens. Maybe portions of it doesn't hit the ground, melts or whatever. But the analog I was looking at was for 2002. I think that was the year. Around the same time of the month, across northern Wisconsin, upper Michigan, and that ended up being a historic storm because they got about 8 to 12 inches of snow in one place reportedly. I don't know. I think it's sort of a rumor, but maybe it's not. They got like 20 inches of snow, so it doesn't matter what time of year it is, but all these factors kind of go together, and at some point you end up overthinking it probably. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. As I mentioned in one of our Facebook posts, Wisconsin Weather on Facebook, that it reminds me of a snow event that Northern Illinois had a couple weekends ago where, it's 2 to 4 inches, 2 to 5, maybe some locally higher months, and then it's like flipping 8 inches falls, and you're like, what the heck happened? But people weren't respecting the models. So that's where I say when you overthink it, you start to, you put knots in your brain, and then you stumble over yourself. So you have to respect the models, first of all. Don't get too arrogant with it. Just respect them. And you almost have to play every single one individually. You can't have any bias coming in. But again, I don't know how the National Weather Service or TV people do it. I don't care. Because this works for us and for me. And it works for people. And it's showing through as we build our audience. So you don't have to please, 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 just don't mindlessly follow somebody. Don't mindlessly follow me even. Do your own research. Go through this and do it yourself, and see how it goes. You have to test yourself, and really, sometimes I feel like the only way to grow is through trial and error. Anyways, that's that. I mean, let's look at some of these other interesting stuff. 500 millibar. Kind of, it's not great. I mean, it's not really well defined, but you have this jet streak coming in on Saturday, and then it pivots through. So it's a nice vortex there that I call it a vortex. I mean, you're looking for some coherent composition here. You want things to be organized, and I think that's organized, so that's good enough. But yeah, you have the curvature there, and that curvature is typically where your storm forms. Or this is the backside of it, so it's actually going to be out in here. And yeah, I see by that's about 4. So yeah, yep, that makes sense. Like a vorticity, it really is not useful at this point. Yep, there it is. Boop. Okay, snow. Out of the sky. Poof, there it goes. Okay, dew points, not really important. Moisture. This is one of the things we talk about because it is April and you should have extra moisture. I would probably want to do precipitable water. So it's lower. I mean, for April, I would expect there to be more probably. So that's kind of the result of a continental system. When you have a storm coming out of Missouri through Illinois that comes up and out on a northeasterly track, that brings much more moisture, but you're usually dealing with a bigger push of warm air on the front end, and you don't get the snow. So, I mean, let's back up a little bit. Back up and go look at the big pattern here. I would call this mostly a northwest flow pattern with a nice 500 millibar. This is going to be a cold trough there, and then it kind of pulls through. So that's the pattern you're looking at, which is it's not like this one that's developing here later towards early next week where you get the trough in the west and the low pressure scoots out. So, anyways. So that's just kind of my thought process going into Saturday. And, I think in the future, as things start to come together for me and for WisconsinWX.com and everything, we'll probably do these updates, mix them together with, they would be private and free. And the private stuff would be for our members only. And so we'll talk more about that. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope this is interesting to you. Please let me know your thoughts. If it's not helpful, what's wrong with it, first of all, because then I can improve it. But secondly, if it is helpful, let me know what the best part about it is, and we'll talk about it. Yeah, so cool. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll talk to you soon.